Dear students, we are very happy to come your way again with this brief program on how to aspire to be a great graduate. I'd like to congratulate you for the opportunity to be a student in a tertiary institution. So, how can you make most of your opportunity as an undergraduate student? How do you aspire to be a great graduate? You can do this by first setting goals and striving to achieve them. Also develop some social skills. You can also aspire to be a great graduate by leveraging opportunities that your membership in a tertiary institution brings you. And then finally, you can aspire to be a great graduate by cultivating an investment culture. We are going to go into each of these items briefly. By set goals and strive to achieve them, what do we mean? The ultimate goal that you must have as a tertiary student is your academic goal. How will you be a successful graduate? How can you graduate with a very good final grade point average or a very good class? One, you need to take your academic work one day at a time. What do we mean when we say you should take your academic work one day at a time? You know, it has become characteristic of students to pile up notes. You know, students would usually wait until it is time for exams before they start cramming everything in preparation for exams. No, that should not be your culture if you would like to emerge or aspire to be one of the greatest graduates your various departments would have. You must, in the first place, try to prepare for every class, every lecture. That is why you are given course outlines. So you make sure that it is not only when you get to the lecture hall that you get to know what you are to treat that particular lecture. Use your course outline, know what you are going to do next, do all the research, visit the libraries, go online, and do all the searches you can before you go to the lecture hall. That way, you are actually prepared for the session. It will help you to concentrate and participate actively in class. Now, when the day is over, you try to go over the activities of the day, all that you have been able to imbibe or learn. By so doing, you are actually going to get ready for excellence in the course that you are doing. Now you have to familiarize yourself with the course content. And this brings us back to the course outline. You know, as tertiary students, you are served course outlines because the lecturers would like you to be very familiar with the course content. Again, as university level students or tertiary students, you are supposed to be independent learners. It is unlike high school where you usually would have teachers spoon-feeding you in every way. No. As a tertiary student, you are required to be good at independent research. So make your course outline your friend and be sure that you know all the objectives of the course. For every lecturer would specify what you should learn at the end of the course. So the learning outcomes. You should familiarize yourself with all that. And as and when time goes on, you should be measuring your performance to see if you are actually achieving these course objectives. Next, you must learn to read extensively. What do we mean by extensive reading? You don't have to limit yourself to just one text or one source of information, like your lecture notes or slides that you get from your lecturers. No, you need to go beyond that as a tertiary student if you really mean to do very well. You need to read other sources, other books, You can look at the recommended text section of your course outlines. Lecturers would usually point you to other sources of information, and then make sure that you read from multiple sources. It is usually the case that what your lecturers miss in class, the books won't miss. What one book misses, another book won't miss. So when you do this, you get a very rich repertoire of knowledge on a particular subject. Still on the issue of reading extensively, you are also encouraged to make sure that you fall on not only one source of information or knowledge, but multiple sources. And that brings us to our next point: identify and make use of study aids. Identify and make use of study aids. Now, especially in the 21st century, there are so many other helpful devices. Our smartphones is a great example. So rather than spending all the time on social media, it is important to commit your smartphones to more beneficial uses. For instance, you can go on YouTube and then find out videos that are relevant to the various courses you are doing. You know, YouTube can expose you to videos that will give you a very hands-on experience, okay, so that at the end of the day, you get a very practical knowledge of what is going on. You know, many of our courses have content that are very abstract. So when you go on YouTube, for instance, or other channels where you can see videos on the subject that you are being taught, you are more likely to enjoy the course. You are more likely to understand perfectly. And it will also help your memory so that you are able to remember the very things that you study very well. Again, another way that you can aid your learning is by taking notes and making notes. When you go for lectures and other programs where you have knowledge sharing, you need to take notes, okay? All the salient points, ideas that you're getting, you need to make sure that you jot them down, okay? And that helps you, especially with revision. I don't know if you own a notebook. And if I say notebook, it is not what you take notes in, as in lecture notes, no. But your independent book for the purpose of making notes. So that when you are reading, you don't just read. You also make sure that you make notes. You try to make sense of everything that you are reading, everything you are studying, and all the salient ideas that you get, you write them down. You know, this helps you, especially with revision. And it also helps you so that the most important things in all your readings will stick. Okay? And it also helps with memory. You don't want a situation where you are in the exam hall and all of a sudden you can't remember something only to get out of the exam hall and then it pops up. No, that won't happen to you if you take making notes seriously. Now, you should also know your course weights and grade points and track your progress. I don't know if you have actually made efforts or taken it upon yourself to know how your various courses are weighted. You know, various courses have their course weights. 3 credit hour courses may have 12 points and all that. And that is what you use in calculating your grade point average for a particular semester, and then also your final grade point average. This is very important. You don't just stay there and you are not interested in where you stand with regard to the grade points that you are making. You need to know, for instance, what point would give you a first class, would give you a second class, so that as you progress, you are tracking how you are doing. So that if you really need to put in more effort, you make sure you do that. Okay? So that is another important thing you must make sure you do. And another equally important thing is to manage your time. Manage your time well. Manage your time. Do you have a timetable of your own? This is very important. Okay, because the truth is, if you don't manage your time, you will end up misspending your time. you will end up following your nose. What do I mean by following your nose? Oh, you are awake today, and a friend comes. Because you don't have a plan, the only thing you do would be to follow your friend, and at the end of the day, you gain nothing. You have wasted time. Though God will call us to accounting with regard to the time that he gives us. So it is also our responsibility to make sure that we value time. Time is a resource, okay? We don't have much time. People would say life is short. And indeed, life is short. The Bible compares life to a flower. So if you know that life is but a flower, today it is, tomorrow it is not. So you should see every opportunity you get as time bound, so that you make sure that you maximize the opportunity you have. And one way you can achieve that is by making sure that you manage your time well. Okay? Get time for everything. A time that you are studying, a time that you would entertain yourself a little, and all that. Okay? It shouldn't be the case that the only thing that regulates your time is lecture. So that once you don't have a lecture, then you don't know what to do with your time. Please make sure you get regular study times and make sure you discipline yourself to stick to the time. Don't say that, oh, today I am tired, so I won't go by what I have on my timetable. No, you stick strictly to your timetable. And you make sure that in your timetable, you have enough time for God too. Especially you try to begin your day with him and end your day with him. Now, the final thing I would like us to talk about with regard to setting goals and striving to achieve them is to avoid distractions. Distractions. Many are the things that would distract you as a student in a tertiary institution. Number one is your own gadgets, social media, videos, and different forms of entertainment. Friends can be a distraction, especially friends of the opposite sex. Okay, if you don't learn to manage your relationships well, you will end up getting distracted. I always tell my students the story of one very serious student who was doing very well until she encountered a boyfriend. The boyfriend disappointed her, and that was the end of her good performance. She got broken and could not pick up herself again and ended up graduating with a very poor class. Please don't allow this to be your lot. The next way you can aspire for greatness in your tertiary education is to develop social skills. What do we mean by developing social skills? We don't live in isolation. You are not an island unto yourself. We live with people. So you need to connect very well with people. And the university offers you the resources, the opportunities to be able to do this. Some of the ways we can do this is by cultivating the habit of teamwork while in school. Teamwork is important. Your lecturers are aware of this, so they try to create a room for that. For instance, you can get project works. Okay, project work, the kind of assignment that requires that you work in teams and all that. It is usually the case that some people would not participate actively in such work. But at the end of the day, they just manage to get their names on the final work that they submit to their lecturers. That should be a no for you. Don't try to cut corners. By doing this, you are actually disadvantaging yourself. You need to be part of a team so that the spirit of that team spirit would actually be in you. And that is going to take you far. So please, try to form study groups. This helps a lot. In my own time, it helped me a lot. Because once you have study groups, you have the opportunity to benefit from various perspectives, okay? The experience of other students. So I'd like to encourage all of you to make sure that you don't joke with teamwork and team activities at all. Again, you must attend other academic meetings aside from your lectures. Okay, you have to attend lectures religiously. But beyond that, there are other academic meetings that you must leverage. They will all help you to learn how to work in teams. An example is tutorials. Some of you skip tutorials. You think you don't need tutorials. You need to. It is part of your obligations, because usually your courses may be 3 credit hour courses, but you are made to do 2 hours in a lecture hall, and the remaining hour is supposed to be for discussions led by tutors. So make sure you get tutorial times and you take this seriously. This gives you the opportunity to actually take things one day at a time. So you have the opportunity to go over what you did in class. It is usually not everything that can be handled by the lecturers in class. Again, during lectures, you have very big groups. Tutorial groups are smaller, manageable groups. At tutorials, you get more time, and you also do a focused kind of learning, because you pick aspects, the most thematic parts, most important parts of the lecture. Okay, so please make sure you take tutorials seriously. Aside from tutorials, there are also seminars. Every department has weekly seminars, and students would usually not take part in seminars. Please, if you would like to be an all-rounder and really prepare yourself for the world of work, do not shy away from seminars and workshops in particular. These opportunities can go to enrich your CVs, and I hope all of you have CVs at this point. So whenever you attend a workshop, whenever you attend a seminar, make sure you participate actively, you take notes and everything, and then make sure that you update your CVs with the workshops or seminars you have attended, and also make time to practice what you learn at the seminars. Next, you must fraternize, okay? It is not all about books. This is very important. Like I told you, the university is a socially networked environment, and you will do yourself great good if you leverage that opportunity. It is usually the case that you never know. Maybe the CEO of the very company you are working in, you never know. That person may even be your course mate. You never know. Maybe the son of a CEO may be the one sitting right by you. You never know. So just as the word of God enjoins us, you see, when you apply the principles of the Bible, it takes you far. So God says that whatsoever ye will that men should do to you, do ye even so to them. The Bible also tells us to love our neighbors as ourselves. Okay? Do good without expecting anything in return. So you never know. Maybe you are entertaining an angel right by your side. You never know. So just make sure that you are good to everyone. Make friends. Spot those who come across as being very serious in class. Make them your friends. Make them your study mates and everything. Be kind to people. I remember there was this student whom I happened to share a room with. And I realized that he was struggling. Even what to eat was difficult for him. So I tried. Whenever I got some bread, some food, I tried to share it with this person. And this person later, God really richly blessed this person. And he became a source of blessing to me. Through him, I got a job after school. Okay, so you never know. So just make sure that you keep good, relationships with the people you encounter, at university. Also eschew immoral relationships. I have already given you the example of a student who lost sight of her vision because of a relationship she found herself in. Especially for our ladies, you may find even some senior members, trying to ensnare you. You should be very careful, when such things come your way. You may want to speak to your course advisors and all that, counselors. You can use the counseling and placement center when you encounter problems like this. Also, learn to leverage opportunities. Leverage opportunities. And this includes acquiring and developing skills. Okay, in our time now, it is not only book knowledge. You need to have some skills. Okay, learn a trade. Okay, you can learn how to sew. you can learn how to weave, you can learn some special computing skills. There are so many opportunities out there, okay? Try to learn the kind of skill sets that will help you to also generate income, so that especially when you are through with your first degree and you are waiting a job, you can be doing business on your own alongside. Or even when you get employed, you can be working with those skill sets for extra sources of income. You know how Ghana is hard now. So if you have something like that, it's really going to take you far. Now you should seize internship opportunities, apply for scholarships as and when they come. You should attend conferences. And, time and again, your departments would make such opportunities available to you. And they usually consider students in good standing, like students who are performing very well academically. That is why it is important that you make sure that you excel. Also try to do something, right? Try to publish in the newspapers, in journals and all that. You can find out from your department how to go around these things. You should also engage in extracurricular activities. It's important, especially when it comes to looking for scholarship opportunities. Most universities out there are usually interested in, your achievements in extracurricular activities, leadership roles that you have taken up and have been able to execute successfully. So you should make sure that you engage in such, activities too. It's not all about what? Books. Now, finally, you can enrich your experience in aspiration towards greater works as a student when you cultivate an investment culture. Cultivate an investment culture. What is meant by this? You make sure you invest in God. What does it mean to invest in God? Make sure that you recognize God has given you all the time, all the opportunities. So find something to do for God. Pay your tithes and offering. These things will make sure that you get great rewards. On the Lord's Day, you try to go and worship God. Okay, give God some time. You've got 6 days in the week. On the seventh day, the Lord's Day, you make sure that you attend church, give God the honor due him, and he will make sure that you also prosper in everything you do. Again, you have to invest in people. I touched briefly on this when I was telling you about the social networks, okay? Trying to be friends with people. When you are good to people, just as I was good to a roommate, and in the end, through that roommate after school, God gave me a job. When you invest in people, these are some of the returns, okay? Yeah, at the right time in future, when you need help may come from these people that we invest in. And finally, you should also try to invest in finances. Okay, it is the case that now our economy is not all that good. Even investing has become a bit risky. But I mean, T-bills appear safer. So you may want to at least you cultivate savings, a savings culture. Okay, you should know that, especially after school, before you get into a good job, it is not everything that you can, rely on your parents for. And God will bring many opportunities your way. As and when you get an opportunity that brings you some extra money, make sure you save, okay? Have future goals and be saving against them. If you take this seriously, sometime even after school, you can employ yourself, okay? So this is where we are going to end. And the conclusion is obvious. As we saw God surface in almost every aspect of our discussions, we say that, as it is written in Philippians chapter 4, verse 13, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. So yes, though the journey is not an easy road, when we have our goals and we also follow these guidelines in preparation to achieve our goals, when we rely on God, recognize him in our lives, he is going to make sure that we achieve all our goals. So on this note, I urge you to have faith that God is there to support you as you aspire to be a great graduate. All the best to you. Thank you. This is where we end our discussion today. We will meet another time to continue. God bless you.